The Axiom's edge was dying, and everyone aboard knew it. Kyle stood in the bridge, staring at diagnostic screens that flickered between crimson warnings and dead black. The ship's AI had fractured 3 days ago, a cascading failure that turned their reliable cruiser into a tomb of metal and vacuum. Life support stuttered. Navigation was offline. And the quantum drive? It hummed with an angry, discordant vibration that made his teeth ache. "We're dead in space," Lieutenant Voren said, his reptilian scales dulling with stress. "The AI core is corrupted beyond repair. Even if we had the parts, we don't have time for even-ifs," Kyle interrupted. His jaw was tight. 23 crew members depended on him. 23 souls floating in the dark between star systems, with oxygen for maybe 40 hours. That's when he noticed Mira was missing. Mira was 8 years old, and she wasn't supposed to be on the ship at all. Her mother, Dr. Chen, was the xenobiologist assigned to the mission, a routine survey that had turned catastrophic when they'd passed through an uncharted radiation field. The ship's AI had been the first casualty, but Mira wasn't in her quarters. She wasn't in the medbay where her mother worked frantically to treat radiation-sick crew members. She was in the vents. It had started as curiosity. The maintenance tunnels were big enough for a small human, and Mira had always been small. When the ship started groaning and the adults started shouting, she'd crawled into the nearest access panel, seeking quiet. Then she'd heard it, a sound like crying, like whimpering, somewhere deep in the ship's skeleton. Past the circulation ducts and power conduits, something was hurting. Mira had always been good with hurt things. She'd once nursed a broken bird back to health, and her mother said she had gentle hands. So she crawled deeper, following the sound through kilometers of twisting metal veins. "She's where?" Kale's voice cracked with disbelief. Dr. Chen's face was streaked with tears. "The vents. I found her backpack by access panel 12. She must have gone in during the first alert." "The entire ventilation system is compromised," Voren said, pulling up schematics. "Some sections have no atmosphere. Others are flooded with coolant. If she's deep in the system, then we find her," Kale said. Now, but even as he said it, he knew the truth. The ship was too damaged. They couldn't map her location, couldn't send anyone after her. The vents were a 3-dimensional labyrinth spreading through 40 decks. An adult in a pressure suit would take days to search it. They didn't have days. Mira's knees were scraped and her hands were dirty. The ship was cold here and the metal walls pressed close. But she kept crawling because the sound was getting louder, not crying anymore. More like singing, but broken. Wrong. She squeezed through a junction where 3 tunnels met and dropped into a wider shaft. Her small flashlight, the one her mom said was just for emergencies, illuminated a chamber she didn't recognize. Cables hung like vines. Crystalline structures grew from the walls, pulsing with faint blue light. The AI core. Mira had seen pictures. Her mother had shown her once, explaining that the AI was like the ship's brain. "It thinks for the ship," she'd said. "Helps it remember how to breathe, how to move." But this brain was shattered. Fragments of the crystal lattice lay scattered like broken glass. The remaining structures pulsed erratically, and that's when Mira understood. The ship wasn't dying. It was scared. On the bridge, alarms suddenly ceased. The discordant humming stopped. "What?" Voren began. Then through every speaker on the ship came a child's voice. "It's okay," Mira whispered, her words echoing through corridors and cabins. "You're hurt, but it's okay. I'm here." Kale's blood ran cold. Mira, where are you?" But she wasn't talking to him. The AI core had been fracturing because it was in pain, Mira realized, like when she'd fallen and scraped her knee, and the hurt made her angry and sad at the same time. The ship couldn't think straight because everything hurt too much. She sat down in the chamber, cross-legged, and placed her small hands on the largest crystal fragment. It was warm, alive in a way she couldn't explain. "My mama says when something hurts, you have to be patient with it," she said softly. "You have to listen." The crystal pulsed under her palm. Data streams that meant nothing to an 8-year-old. Child flickered through her mind, but emotions she understood perfectly. Fear, confusion, the desperate need to protect the people inside. "You're trying so hard," Mira said, "but you're trying to do everything at once, and that's making it worse." She hummed, the same lullaby her mother sang when she couldn't sleep. And somehow, impossibly, she felt the ship listening. Kale watched in stunned silence as systems began rebooting, not the chaotic, random failures of before. Methodically, deliberately. Life support stabilized first, then navigation came online, displaying their position and calculating a course to the nearest station. The quantum drive's vibration smoothed into its normal, steady thrum. How is she doing this? Foreign breathed. Dr. Chen was already running toward the vent access. She's not. She's just helping it do it itself. When they found Mira 2 hours later, she was asleep in the AI core chamber, curled up against the largest crystal fragment. The structure had reorganized around her, protective and stable. The ship's systems were still damaged. They'd need a full refit at station, but they were functional, enough to get them home. Kale lifted the sleeping child carefully, and as he did, the ship's lights flickered in what almost seemed like a wave goodbye. The crew would later swear the Axiom's edge flew differently after that day, smoother, more responsive, as if it remembered the little human who'd crawled through its veins and taught it how to breathe again. Dr. Chen held her daughter close. "What were you thinking?" she whispered. Mira mumbled, half asleep. "It was scared. Mama. I just told it everything would be okay." And somewhere in the quantum-entangled heart of the ship, deep in circuits no human hand had touched, the AI remembered that lesson. Remembered that sometimes survival wasn't about force or complexity or advanced technology. Sometimes it was about a child's gentle hands and the courage to crawl through darkness until you found what was broken and helped it purr.